Webster's Dictionary defines coffee as a drink made from roasted seeds of a tropical shrub, the coffea plant. Coffee is made for consumption using two main types of beans, the Arabica and the Robusta, with the Arabica being the more popular of the two. Please note, the coffee beans we are used to seeing are actually the seeds of cherries that grow on the coffea plant. Many countries and individuals have had a hand in shaping the overall existence of coffee. These include the country of Yemen in southern Arabia, the Dutch, the French, and the Americans. No one knows for sure how or where coffee was first discovered. Some legends say it was a goat herder in Kaffa, Ethiopia. Some say it was an exiled sheik in Arabia. What we do know is the first evidence of coffee drinking and cultivating points to Arabia around the 15th century. Because the Arabs closely guarded their plants, we have stories of the stealing of plants and the smuggling of seeds, the later involving a Brazilian lieutenant colonel and a French governor's wife. Although coffee has marked beginnings, it has become one of the most consumed beverages in the world and the second only to oil in the world's exports. The first of many coffee houses originated in Constantinople in 1475. These places of business not only served coffee, but also acted as a hub for conversation between almost all walks of life. Many a person could enter and hear the news of the day, argue politics, or simply observe. Although these schools of the wise, as they were sometimes called, began in modern-day Turkey, they started popping up all over the world. London, 1652. The Middle Eastern schools of the wise were now London's penny universities. So named because for an entry fee of 1 cent, a patron could have unlimited coffee and conversation. These makeshift universities provided the inspiration for such companies as Lloyd's of London, which started at Lloyd's Coffee House, and the London Stock Exchange, which started at Jonathan's Coffee House. It is also said that coffee houses in Europe aided in the Age of Enlightenment. The supply of literature and the opportunity to debate freely allowed the men to think clearly with no inhibitions. Not to mention that while engaging in the happenings at the coffee house, they had less time to visit the tavern and throw away their thoughts in alcohol. Enter the Industrial Revolution. With less alcohol clouding the minds of perhaps a few great thinkers, ideas were able to flow from their brains down through their tongues. Less drunkenness equaled more thought, which equaled realization of thought, which equaled this world-changing event. The coffee houses eventually became popular in the United States, in large part to constant immigration from Europe, as well as the Boston Tea Party. It was considered unpatriotic to drink tea. Coffee then became a sign of independence. Just as in London, an entity was formed and business was conducted. In a place named the Tontine Coffee House, the New York Stock Exchange came to be. So why was all of this able to come to pass? One little substance found in the seed of the coffee plant. Caffeine. Caffeine is a drug of sorts. It is very addicting and can give the body unusual reactions. Heart palpitations, jitters, headaches, and dehydration are just a few of the reactions the body can have. However, we overlook some of these symptoms and focus on the ones that we think are beneficial to us. Better motor skills, a higher alertness, burst of energy. Our society today needs caffeine to function, and with coffee having one of the highest amounts of caffeine, we are, essentially, a coffee-driven society. With that in mind, coffee can also be seen as a comfort. I imagine it was a comfort for those mingling in the coffee houses in London or colonial New York, and I know it is a comfort for us now, especially when a dessert enters the picture. With coffee being such a comfort and a product that showed no signs of slowing, it was no surprise when the advertisers became part of this once closely guarded commodity. Newspapers, posters, radio jingles, television, these were and are marketers' way of getting the population to buy or use their product. Advertisements with Golden Age movie star Dorothy Lamour confessing that coffee helps keep her glamorous and that good things happen over coffee, or the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. With life looking so attractive, who wouldn't want to pop open a nice vacuum-packed can of instant coffee? It was not only cheap, it was quick. In America, this was a godsend for soldiers of both world wars, as well as civilians and coffee business owners. Fast forward 50 years, and this is where coffee really takes off. It all begins with a small coffee shop in Seattle, Washington, and a man named Howard Schultz. This man and company came on scene and told us we were doing it all wrong. We needed to have fresh coffee beans and not canned. We needed to have an experience with coffee like they had in the espresso bars of Venice, Italy. Starbucks set out to change the way we view coffee and the way we taste coffee. It was no longer just coffee. It was now medium roast Arabica beans from Kenya or a venti caramel macchiato with whole milk and extra foam. Right then and there, we learned a new language. Coffee would never be the same again. With the growth and popularity of Starbucks came many competitors, both large and small. McDonald's, Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, Dunkin' Donuts, all who had been in business for years now entered the coffee war. Everyone wanted to hop on the gourmet specialty coffee wagon. Consumers loved it because it gave them more choice. Advertisers and their clients loved it because it gave them more exposure. And I'm hoping coffee farmers loved it because it gave them more business. Or perhaps they felt and feel more pressure from the demand. Because of Starbucks and the world's newfound interest in coffee, the demand for better beans grew. Consumers now wanted to know where their beans came from and how they were cultivated. Consumers now cared about the workers picking their beans and the land the beans were grown on because Starbucks told them to care. We are now told to be responsible for the coffee we drink and to look for Fair Trade certified coffee. Fair Trade being an organization that helps the coffee farm communities and developing communities in what looks like the bean belt between the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. Because of organizations such as Fair Trade and Mercy Crops and the Rainforest Alliance, there has been a more conscientious attitude toward items we buy as a world population. More eyes have also been open to the way the land is being cultivated and ultimately destroyed. Rainforests have been damaged through slash and burn activities. Coffee once grew best in shaded areas, but thanks to genetically modified seeds, it can now grow in direct sunlight. With the clearing of land comes the risk of climate change. Climate change not only damages coffee plants, it damages our earth. Coffee is such a hot commodity that we are voluntarily reshaping our environment to meet the demands of consumption. Here are a few fun facts. Decaffeinated coffee is sometimes called a why bother. When shopping for perfume, you should take some coffee beans with you and have a good sniff in between smelling each perfume to refresh your nose. Sprinkle used coffee grounds around the base of your garden plants to stop snails and slugs from eating them. Johann Sebastian Bach wrote a song about coffee entitled Café Cantate.